we extract honey once a year in September, early September, because we have to leave enough honey in the hive for them to survive the winter. This is called the super. Goes on top of the hive. We put that on in early summer, and this is where the extra honey is stored. The bees fill up the hive with the honey they need, and then they put the extra on top in this box, in this frame. This group of frames is 10 frames, small. And that's what it looks like after the honey's been removed. And they're little hexagons. The bees actually secrete wax from a wax gland. We put the frames in the basket. The basket turns. It's driven by a little, actually it's a little 2 horsepower, 4 horsepower motor, electric motor. And the honey then drains down to the bottom, and we tap it off from a little faucet in the bottom. So we then have raw honey. Then we put a nylon bag, it's a very fine nylon bag, into the top bucket. And then we take this is a fine screened filter, a receptacle. It's a fairly fine screening, not quite as fine as the nylon. We put that on top of the nylon bag, those little holders, and then we take a coarse screen and put that on the very top. So essentially you have 3 different material that you're filtering through: a coarse screen, a fine screen, and then this nylon bag. The honey coming out of the hive has debris in it, has a little bit of wax in it, might have little pieces of pollen and such. Actually, the raw honey right out of the hive tastes great. It's almost better tasting than the finely filtered honey. I've had it. It's a little bit of a difference, but we do like to take out the pieces of wax just so that the honey is a little bit more clear. Each hive on a good year should produce about 50 to 60 pounds, 50 to 60 1-pound jars per hive. Each hive is 55,000 bees. This year it wasn't quite as good because of all the rain. We didn't get as much honey as we normally do because the bees can't go out when it rains. And also the honey's a little darker this year. Normally it's very light, but because different flowers were in bloom and later in the season when it wasn't raining, they collected nectar from a little different group of wildflowers this year. So it's a little darker, but tastes just as good. And it's a mix of wildflower. We're in a good location here in the Herringbrook Valley at the headwaters of the North River. This freshwater tidal marsh that the herring run empties into is a rich source of wildflowers. I mean, there's constant moisture, and from purple loosestrife to sweet pepperbush, of course this time of year goldenrod. This is the final product from the bee. It's a wildflower honey made from the nectar of the wildflowers here at Herringbrook Valley. This is from the Ichabod Loring Apiary in Pembroke. And this was harvested a couple of weeks ago, Saturday, September 12th, 2009. I'll tell you, honey can be helpful if you have allergies because it does contain some pollen. And by ingesting the pollen, you actually build up antibodies to pollen, and it helps alleviate the severity of any kind of pollen allergy. So local honey is good too. It does help people with allergies.